Las Vegas, 1976, Caesar's Palace. Richard Marcus is dealing blackjack to drunk tourists and tired gamblers. 8 hours a day, 6 days a week, $4.50 per hour, plus tips. He's 24 years old, he's broke, and he's watching people lose thousands of dollars every night while he makes minimum wage. But Richard is learning something more valuable than money. He's learning how casinos work, how dealers think, how surveillance operates, how pit bosses watch tables. He's learning the weaknesses. Insurance. Richard asks the player, showing a pair of sevens against his ace. The player takes it. Bad move. Richard flips his whole card, a 6, not blackjack. The player loses anyway. Richard collects the chips, stacks them, moves to the next hand. Repeat, repeat, repeat. 8 hours of this every day for 2 years. But Richard is paying attention to something else, the blind spots. When the table is crowded, pit bosses can't see every bet. When players argue, dealers get distracted. When someone wins big, everyone watches the winner, not the other bets. Casinos are designed to be perfect, but humans run them, and humans make mistakes. Richard notices something specific. After a spin on roulette, dealers focus on paying winners. They don't look back at the bets they just collected. They assume the bets were what they appeared to be. That assumption is about to cost casinos millions. Before we go deeper into how one broke dealer turned the tables on every casino in Vegas, take a second to subscribe, hit like, and drop a comment with your city or country, because what you're about to hear isn't luck. It's method, madness, and millions. 1978. Richard's apartment, 2 a.m. Richard is sitting at his kitchen table, casino chips spread in front of him. Red $5 chips, black $100 chips, green $25 chips. He's been thinking about this for months. The blind spot, the moment when a dealer isn't looking, the moment when you could switch something. But how? Card counting works for blackjack, dice sliding works for craps, but roulette is pure chance. You can't predict where the ball lands, you can't control the wheel, unless you change your bet after you know the result. Richard stacks 2 chips on top of each other, red $5 chip on top, black $100 chip underneath. From above, it looks like a $5 bet. But if you flip it over, he practices the motion, place the chips. If you lose, grab them fast. If you win, leave them there. The key, the dealer has to see the bottom chip only after they've paid the bet. Richard names it the Savannah, after a dealer he once knew who had the fastest hands he'd ever seen. It's brilliant, it's simple, it's invisible, and it's about to make him rich. March 1980, Tropicana Casino, Las Vegas. Richard walks in wearing a cheap suit, looks like a tourist, acts like a tourist, bets like a tourist. He sits at a roulette table, buys $200 in chips, starts small, $5 bets, red, black, odd, even, losing more than winning, looking frustrated. The dealer doesn't pay attention to him. He's just another losing player. After 20 minutes, Richard prepares his move. 1 red $5 chip, 1 black $100 chip underneath. Stacked carefully. He places the bet on number 17. From above, it looks like a $5 bet. The wheel spins, the ball bounces, lands on 23. Richard loses. He quickly grabs both chips before the dealer can see. Looks disappointed. Damn. The dealer collects other losing bets, pays winners, doesn't give Richard a second glance. Richard waits, plays more hands, small bets, losing, winning a little, building the pattern of a casual gambler. Then 30 minutes later, he stacks them again. Red on top, black underneath. Number 29. The wheel spins. The ball bounces, lands on 29. Richard doesn't react, doesn't celebrate, just sits there. The dealer moves to pay him, reaches for his chips, and freezes. She flips them over, sees the black $100 chip underneath. Sir, you bet $100. Yeah, I placed 100 on 29. The dealer looks closer. The $100 chip is definitely there under a $5 cap, but the rules don't say you can't do that. Roulette pays 35 to 1. A $100 bet pays $3,500. The dealer calls the pit boss over. Sir, this player has $100 on 29. The pit boss looks, sees the chips, sees Richard looking nervous and confused, pay him. Richard walks out of Tropicana Casino 20 minutes later, $3,500 richer. The Savannah just worked, and nobody knew they'd been cheated. Over the next year, Richard perfects the technique. He learns the optimal bet sizes, $100 to $500. Anything higher draws too much attention. Anything lower isn't worth the risk. He learns the timing, Wait at least 45 minutes between Savannah attempts. Play small bets in between. Look like a regular gambler. He learns the tells. If a pit boss watches you for more than 3 spins, move to a different table. If surveillance adjusts a camera toward you, cash out and leave. Most importantly, he learns which casinos have the weakest surveillance. In 1981, most casinos still use 1970s camera systems, grainy, poor angles, black and white footage that can't see chip colors clearly. Richard hits them all. MGM Grand, $4,200 in one night. Flamingo, $2,800 across 3 visits. Desert Inn, $5,500 in 2 nights. Sands, $3,100 in 1 visit. He's making more money in 1 night than he made in 3 months as a dealer. But Richard knows Las Vegas is small. Word spreads. Surveillance teams talk to each other. Eventually, someone will notice the pattern. So Richard makes a decision. He's going international. June 1983, Casino de Monte Carlo, Monaco. This is it, the most famous casino in the world, where James Bond gambled, where royalty plays, where security is supposed to be unbeatable. Richard walks in wearing his best suit. He looks like he belongs. Confidence is half the con. He sits at a roulette table. European roulette, single zero, better odds than American tables. He buys 5,000 euros in chips, starts playing. For 90 minutes he plays normally, 50 to 100 euros bets, winning some, losing more, looking like a wealthy tourist having fun. Then he sees his moment. The table is crowded, 7 other players. The dealer is busy paying multiple winners. The pit boss is watching a high roller at the baccarat table. Richard stacks his chips. Red 50 euros on top, black 1,000 euros underneath. Stacked carefully, he places the bet on number 7. The wheel spins, the ball bounces, lands on 7. Richard doesn't move, doesn't celebrate, just sits there. The dealer moves to pay him, reaches for his chips, and freezes. She flips them over, sees the black 1,000 euro chip underneath. You bet 1,000 euros, oui. Number 7. Richard nods calmly. The dealer calls the pit boss. The pit boss looks. Calls his supervisor. The supervisor reviews the bet. Richard's heart is pounding, but his face stays calm. This is the moment. Either they pay him, or they catch him. The supervisor looks at the table layout, looks at Richard, looks at the chips. Pay him 35,000 euros. Richard just won 35,000 euros with a 1,000 euro bet that looked like 50 euros. He plays 3 more hands, loses 2, wins a small bet, then cashes out. Walks out of Casino de Monte Carlo with 38,000 euros. But as he reaches the exit, he glances back. The pit boss is on the phone, looking at him, writing something down. Richard doesn't return to Monaco for 5 years. By 1985, Richard realizes something. Working alone is limiting. He needs distractions.
He needs cover. He needs a team. He recruits 3 people. David, ex-deer from Reno, knows casino procedures, will play at the same table, creating distraction bets. Patricia, Richard's girlfriend, will stand near the table, ask dealers questions, create momentary distractions during the switch. Tony, former pit boss, knows exactly what surveillance watches, will scout tables and identify weak moments. The team travels together, different cities, different countries. They hit London, UK, Ritz Casino, $18,000 in one night. Paris, France, Aviation Club de France, 95,000 francs. Atlantic City, USA, Borgata, $12,000 across 2 nights. Macau, Grand Lisboa, 140,000 Hong Kong dollars, about $18,000. The system works with a team. Richard can hit bigger scores with less risk. Patricia creates distractions. Tony identifies the best moments. David makes side bets that pull dealer attention. Between 1985 and 1990, the team makes an estimated $2 million. But every perfect system has cracks. And in 1991, the cracks start showing. December 1991, Bellagio, Las Vegas. Richard doesn't know it yet, but Bellagio's surveillance team has been watching him for 3 weeks. They don't know his name, they don't know his technique, but they know something is wrong. The surveillance director notices a pattern, a player who loses consistently on small bets, but wins improbably on large bets. Not every time, that would be obvious, but often enough to be suspicious. They install a new camera, HD for 1991, directly over table 7, Richard's favorite table. December 18th, Richard walks in, doesn't notice the new camera, sits at table 7. He plays for 40 minutes, small bets, normal pattern. Then he sees his moment. stacks his chips, red $5 on top, black $500 underneath, places them on number 14. The wheel spins. The ball lands on 14. Richard stays calm. The dealer reaches for the chips, and the pit boss is already walking over. "Sir, can you come with me for a moment?" Richard's stomach drops, but he plays it cool. "Is there a problem?" "Just routine. We need to verify something." They take him to a back room. Small, no windows, 2 security guards, a surveillance monitor. The surveillance director presses play. The video shows Richard placing his bet from this angle directly above. You can see it clearly. Red chip on top, black chip underneath. The black chip is visible for just a split second before his hand moves away. Then the wheel spins. Richard wins. The dealer flips the chips. The black chip is revealed. They replay it. Slow motion, frame by frame. You placed a $5 chip on top of a $500 chip. Then when you won, you claimed you bet $500. That's chip switching. That's cheating. Richard says nothing. Asks for a lawyer. They question him for 6 hours. But here's the problem. Richard never moved the chips after placing them. The $500 chip was always there. Yes, he obscured it with the $5 chip, but technically he did bet $500. Is that cheating? Or is that just a weird way to bet? The casino's lawyers debate. Finally, at 4 a.m., they make a decision. You're banned from this property permanently. If you return, you'll be arrested for trespassing. Now leave. Richard walks out of Bellagio at 4:17 a.m. Free, but marked. His face is now in every casino database in Nevada. His technique is documented. Surveillance teams across Vegas are briefed. The golden years are over. March 1993, Atlantic City. David, Richard's teammate, gets arrested at Caesars Atlantic City, not for chip switching, for an unrelated warrant from years ago. But when Atlantic City police run his background, they find something interesting. Frequent travel to Las Vegas, Monaco, London. Large cash deposits in his bank account. No declared income. They offer him a deal. "We know you're part of a cheating ring. Give us names. Walk free." David thinks about it for 2 days, then agrees. Richard Marcus. He's the one running it. Chip switching, roulette tables. He's hit casinos from Vegas to Macau. The FBI opens a file. They contact casinos, gather evidence, build a case. But someone inside the Atlantic City Police Department knows Richard's lawyer, makes a phone call. "Your client is about to be indicted. Thought you should know." Richard gets the call on March 15, 1993. He has 48 hours before the FBI moves. He withdraws $50,000 cash from his bank account, drives to Atlantic City, knocks on David's door at 2 a.m. The conversation lasts 3 hours. Nobody knows what was said, but we know the result. The next morning, David calls the FBI. "I made a mistake. I'm not testifying. I want my lawyer." The FBI case collapses. Without David's testimony, they have nothing solid, just suspicious patterns, just circumstantial evidence. The file goes cold. David disappears, moves to Mexico. Nobody hears from him again. Richard never confirmed what happened that night, but investigators believe the $50,000 bought David's silence and possibly his relocation. November 1997, Las Vegas Convention Center. The International Association of Gaming Investigators is holding their annual conference. 800 security professionals from casinos worldwide, sharing information, learning new techniques, identifying threats. One session is titled "The Most Wanted Casino Cheats." They show photos, names, techniques. Richard Marcus's photo is slide number 3. This man has hit casinos in 7 countries, estimated winnings $5 to $7 million. Technique, chip switching on roulette tables. Known aliases, none. Last spotted, Bellagio 1991. 800 security professionals now have Richard's face memorized. That same night, because Richard either doesn't know about the conference or doesn't care, he walks into the MGM Grand. The pit boss on duty attended the conference that morning. He looks at Richard, looks at the memory card from the conference in his pocket, looks back at Richard. His hand moves to his radio. Code yellow, table 12. Richard sees the pit boss's hand move, sees 2 security guards start walking toward him, realizes what's happening. He stands, walks toward the exit. Casual, not running, not rushing, but the security guards are faster. 4 of them now converging. Richard changes direction, heads toward the casino floor. More people, more confusion. He walks past the slots, through the poker room, toward the back hallways. "Sir, stop." A security guard is 10 feet behind him. Richard runs through the kitchen, past shocked cooks and dishwashers, out the service exit, into the parking lot, to his car. Engine starts, tires screech, 4 security vehicles try to follow, but Richard knows Las Vegas streets, loses them within 10 minutes. He doesn't gamble in Las Vegas for 2 years after that night. 1999. After the security conference incident at MGM Grand, Richard makes a decision. He's 47 years old. He's been chip switching for 20 years. He's made an estimated $5 million. He's been arrested twice, banned from dozens of casinos, nearly caught more times than he can count. The game is changing. HD cameras everywhere, facial recognition software being tested, surveillance teams sharing databases across the country. The golden age is over. Richard could keep going, push his luck, try one more score, but he's seen what happens to cheaters who don't know when to stop. They end up in prison, or worse. So Richard does something most casino cheaters never do. He walks away while he's ahead. But he doesn't just disappear. He does something smarter. He writes a book, American Roulette: How I Turned the Odds Upside Down. The manuscript takes him 6 months. He details everything: the Savannah technique, how he beat casinos in 14 countries, the close calls, the arrests, the psychology of casino security. But most importantly, he writes from the inside: how casinos think, what they watch for, where their blind spots are. In early 2000, the book is published. Casino security directors read it with horror. This is a manual for cheating, a step-by-step guide to beating their systems. But it's also something else: proof that Richard Marcus knows more about casino security than anyone alive. Within weeks of publication, Richard's phone starts ringing. But it's not the FBI. It's not prosecutors. It's casinos. March 2000, MGM Grand, Las Vegas. The same casino Richard ran from 6 months ago is now offering him a job. "We want you to train our surveillance team. $10,000 per day." Richard accepts. Within a year, he's consulting for every major casino in Nevada. Caesar's Palace, where he started as a $4.50 per hour dealer, now pays him $10,000 per day. Bellagio, where they interrogated him for 6 hours, flies him in to train their entire security department. Monte Carlo, Macau, Atlantic City, the same casinos he stole from now pay him to protect them. Richard travels the world not to cheat casinos, to save them from people like him. He writes security articles, gives keynote speeches, appears in documentaries. In 2003, he publishes a second book, Casinos Buy It in Bulk. By 2005, Richard has made more money as a consultant than he ever made as a cheater. The irony is perfect. Richard never stopped beating casinos, he just found a legal way to do it.